I thought I'd show you how I handle big multi-track sessions. I often record bands, my own band, and live gigs on multi-tracks, and then want to actually mix those down to MP3s to send to the band. So here's an example of one we did in July. This is a huge 22 gig file. First thing to do, because some of these processes are destructive, you don't have to do the destructive parts, but I'd always suggest duplicating it. So we'll duplicate that project, go in and we'll open the session. So as we can see, if we look at the timeline here, I've got about an hour and a half's worth of recording. There's a bass track, 8 drum tracks, guitar, keys, vocals, and some intro sounds. And as you can see, there's some areas where we've got big blank stuff where we stopped and talked and probably went and had a cup of coffee and didn't stop recording. So we've got a lot of wasted time and space there. It's not a big deal, storage is cheap, but I don't want to keep all of this garbage when we record sessions on a regular basis. So first thing first is now we've got Logic 11 and stem splitter. One of the big challenges, if you listen to any of these tracks, you'll find that if you solo the vocal, there's a whole load of drum noise in the background, which makes mixing them a little bit harder and makes the drums sound a bit crashy and splashy. Now we've got the stem splitter, we can solve that problem. So first thing to do is join, if you've done multiple takes, join the tracks together for the vocal track where you want to remove any band bleed on the vocal mic, and then bounce and join menu, hit join, which I've got on Command J. This will take a few seconds, so I will speed this up. Now we have a single track with all the vocals on. Stem splitter's here because I use it regularly. It's normally to be found this part of the menu, so I'll actually use it there. So I'm just going to take just the vocals and create another version of that vocal without any of the background noise. Right, now that's almost done. It's just building the preview. So now when we play the audio track, right, so that's now got no background on it. Sounds a bit raw without any reverb, so I put some reverb on that as well, just to make it sound better. And then so now comes the cleanup job. So what we want to do is have an MP3 for each song, and the easiest way to do that to start off with is to get the marquee tool out and start zooming in and taking out all of the bit in between the songs. So with that, we zoom in and also probably zoom in the waveform so you can see where they begin and end. And now grab the marquee tool, cut a section, and then drag out where you think they actually end. Do a quick test. Yeah, that one's. Oh no, there's a bit more. There you go. So I don't want to miss the beginning end of that one. This one starts with the guitar and ends here. So I can safely cut this region out here. And that's the beginning of the next one. Now as I'm doing this, the thing to do is grab that set the loop by the selection, which I've got allocated to F3. There you go. Set locators by events. So that's a really useful tool. I've got that on F3. So if you select any event, so if I make that event shorter, for example, hit F3, now the loop point is set around that event. And if I grab all of that, F3, the loop point is set around that event. Now, easy way to create your markers is you can just drag that down and it'll create you a marker. That's called start on you. So that was first track. Whoop. That's if I type it right. Next one. Again, grab that, F3, drag it down, mirror. Oh, mirror, just got my mirror. So I'm now going to go through and mark all the ends of all these tracks. Right, okay, so now we've got all of the individual songs cleaned up. So the beginning and the ends are trimmed. So now is probably a good time to just delete stuff that's just absolutely not being used, like these little song intro clips that we use. We'll trim those off. The next job is to do a bit of cleanup. So in the audio window, we can hit Shift U to select unused clips. Right, that'll select all those. Now you can remove those, and if you view and then hide all regions, you'll see how many audio files you've got here. But you'll also notice that, for example, that bass file, the only bit we're using is this tiny bit at the end here. So now what we can do is select all of the audio files. And this is destructive, so this is why we did a backup earlier. So it might be a good idea to do a save and back up the project again, because you've made all these edits. That's what I advise you to do. I'm not going to do it here. And then you go to audio file, optimize 34 files. So what that will do is remove any audio from those files that is no longer being used. Physically remove them from the audio files. So this will take a little time on 34 files. Now it's done that, it's rebuilding all of the thumbnails. Double check that everything's working. That sounds fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So next step is to go to the project management cleanup, because although you've gone and removed things from the pool, there will be files that are still are not being used, that are still in the project. You probably just need to delete them. So if you hit cleanup, delete unused files, delete backups, delete media browse files. So all of these files were in the original project that I opened, and are not being used. So there's no value having them here. Plus I've got a backup anyway, so I can just delete those. So they're all gone now. So if I save this project, go and look at how big it is on the disk now, go back up to here. So this project is now 11 gigabytes when it was 22. That's basically half the size of the project. Now the boring bit is to do a quick mix down for each one of these. So I basically, as I drag the loop region down to create the marker, I can now drag the marker up to actually create the loop region. Yeah, that's fine. And now I'm going to, I have F1 assigned to bounce project. So if I select that, hit F1, I actually don't want the PCM, I don't want the full WAV file because I'm just sending out mixes. I don't want to create more storage problems. These are only scratch mixes for people to listen to. So that's it. I do that and then name it session 1 star on you. And in fact, I'll name it. So that's the first one done. Second one, drag up, F1, enter, and then this one is called mirror. Right, so that is basically it. Okay, finally, what you see is after doing all of that, I've now got a project that's 7.8 gigabytes rather than 22, and if you do this over hundreds of projects, this saves you a lot of space. And then in the project, I've got MP3 files for each of those songs. After a while, I don't even keep the multi-tracks. I just keep the MP3s as a reference. But there may also be a good reason to keep the multi-tracks because there might be a genius guitar solo in there or great drum part that we want to use elsewhere. So there you go. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much.